What would you do with an extra day? It's a question you'll actually get to answer this year on Saturday, February 29th. And it's a question Todd Shimkus posed to his team at the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce back in 2016 when they invented Leap of Kindness Day. That year, on February 29th, all across Saratoga County, employers, employees, individuals, and families took action and did something kind for someone else. Now, although Leap of Kindness Day initiative was invented and managed in Saratoga County by the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce, the idea spread within the chamber community to more than 50 chambers in 30 states organizing their own Leap of Kindness Day events. This year, Todd and team are looking to make even bigger impact. And that's what we'll be discussing today. So thank you for joining us today for the Download in Action, getting the word out about your cause with the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce. Now, it's never been easier to get the word out about something you care about, but that also means understanding and making sense of the online marketing tools available to you. Today, in our discussion with Todd Shimkus, president of the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce, we'll take a closer look at the Leap of Kindness Day initiative across three areas. We're going to take a look at defining your cause, promoting your cause, and thinking about the future. My name is Dave Charest, and I'm the Director of Content Marketing at Constant Contact, and I am joined today by Todd Shimkus, President of the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce. Todd, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Dave, thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this initiative you got off the ground here. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce?
Sure. My name again is Todd Shimkus. I'm the president of the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce. We're here in beautiful downtown Saratoga Springs, New York, home of the oldest sporting venue in the United States, the Saratoga Racecourse. We have a vibrant downtown, a growing community. Lots of great things happening here, and we believe this chamber changes things for the positive in many of those respects. Close to 2,000 members, 10 full-time staff members, 5 part-time. We're the county's tourism promotion agency. We do advocacy, small business development, promotion, networking, education, all of the things that chambers do. I've been in chamber work for 25 years this year, started in 1995 at the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce in Leominster, Massachusetts, and I've been here in Saratoga Springs for 10 years.
Excellent. It's great to hear that you were in Massachusetts or started out there. We're based in Massachusetts actually, and that's where I am right now. So that's great to hear. So it sounds like you've got a really vibrant community and doing a lot of really great things. And so again, thank you for spending some time with us here today. I think people are going to get a lot of value out of kind of hearing some of your thinking through kind of getting the word out about this cause, Leap of Kindness Day. So let's get into that, right? So defining your cause. Todd, why don't you tell us a little bit about Leap of Kindness Day, and is there an actual event for that, and how did that idea come about?
So there's not an actual specific event. It's more of a concept that we introduced in 2016. I'll be honest, the idea of doing something with an extra day came to me in 2000. That was the first year that I was at a chamber where we had a leap year and an extra day. And I always thought, for the next, 16 years, geez, we ought to do something. And in 2015, recognizing that 2016 was a leap year, this is one of those communities where, like chambers do so well everywhere, we're able to convene the best and the brightest. And we did. We did that and brought a group of about 24 people together, private sector, nonprofit sector, public sector, small companies, large companies, small nonprofits, large nonprofits, and said, next year in 2016, we have an extra day. And I thought it'd be called the Extra Day Initiative. That's how, that's my lack of creativity. And so we started talking about what we might do with it. And all of a sudden, Bo Galieber, who works for a local company here called Finger Paint Marketing, Bo Galieber yelled out, let's call it Leap of Kindness Day. And everybody sitting at the table pointed at her and said, "That's it. That's what we're going to do." And from that point on, we started rolling out the idea of, you have an extra day. What are you going to do with it? And what we think you should do is something kind for someone else. And the way that cause sort of took form for us was, we had another very large company here, Global Foundries. They're actually a global company, as you might imagine from their name. They make semiconductors all around the world, and they have 3,000 people here that work for them in our local community. And their person at the table said, "You've got to make this event or cause scalable. How do we get all 3,000 of our employees to participate?" And that context helped us. And what we decided to do as a result of that was, we weren't picking a specific event, a specific cause. We left that up to companies to decide what they might want to do, depending on their size, depending on their interest. And we also contacted our nonprofits and said, "What do you need?" And what this ended up becoming in terms of a cause was matching nonprofits in our local community who need something with companies who were willing to fulfill that need. And so on February 29th, 2016, we literally had dozens of organizations, hundreds of people that did something kind for someone else, from donating time to donating money to donating personal care items to food, clothing, meals, all sorts of things throughout Saratoga County and beyond, as you mentioned earlier.
That's amazing. I love how you've gotten so many people kind of on board with this idea, which kind of leads me to my next question. When you're thinking about this and this idea comes about, did you have to do anything? Was it convincing on your side, like, to get people on board with the idea before you could actually really kind of put the plans in motion?
So, like most chambers, we have a governing structure, staff as well. So we came out of that meeting with this idea and this concept, and, the staff worked diligently for the next couple months trying to figure out how we would pull this together. We brought it to our board, made sure our board supported this, and then we announced it at our annual dinner in front of close to 1,000 people. And we thought we came up with a little creative way to do that. And that was that we actually produced these Leap of Kindness Day cards. And as you can see, they're blank inside. The only logo on it is ours in the back, where we said it was produced by us. And we handed out those cards at our annual dinner and said to everybody that, use this to say thank you to somebody that's been important to you, that's done something kind for you, and give them this card on February 29th. And just the fact that they were able to walk out of our annual dinner with something concrete literally in their hands, and a simple act that they could take, that pushed it out into the community and got some media exposure. Obviously, we started using constant contact email. We set up our website. We sent up content. We started taking photos of our members that were committing to doing things. We had posters. We had stickers, placards. We did a video. And what we quickly found was, at least within this community, the generosity was overwhelming. Everybody wanted to get involved, from school children to the largest corporations that we have here.
This is great. So we're going to get into some more of those specifics of some of those things that you talked about there, which I'm excited to do. One of the things I wanted to know before we get there, though, is did you, so people on board with this idea, you got the word out, or just my Boston just came out there for you. Did you set any goals for Leap of Kindness Day when you were first starting? Like, what were you hoping to achieve with it?
It's funny you mentioned that, because we had that discussion at the board meeting, and I'll never forget. Our board was wondering, all right, so why are we doing this? What's the goal? And I don't know if you remember, 2016 started off on a pretty rocky road politically, in the news and the media. And I think just as a small goal, we wanted to do something around kindness. And we wanted to showcase Saratoga County as perhaps one of the kindest places to live. And the fact that we could maybe help some of our nonprofits get access to the the money or the food or the clothing that they needed. Those were sort of our goals, and they were pretty simple. They were pretty basic for the folks with a left brain, focus. There weren't a lot of numbers associated with them. We didn't know how many people we would impact, how many companies would join up, or other communities and other chambers. But everybody liked the concept. They liked the idea. They liked the cause. The simplicity of the name, the simplicity of the idea, I think is what captured everybody's attention. And once people here started talking about leap year, and they started talking about, hey, what are you going to do with an extra day? And that really took on a life of its own.
Yeah, I really love that idea of keeping it simple, and I think that's really important because it's easier to kind of rally people around that idea, and that idea of just keep showing Saratoga as the kindest place to live is really really interesting and a great way to go about it. So now to do this, of course, and to get everybody activated and those, I'm sure you've got a great team working with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your team and kind of who's doing what in this process of kind of getting the word out?
Yeah, and some of the personnel here has changed in the last 4 years, but
Hmm.
in essence, certainly I, as the spokesman for the organization, was certainly out front and at the annual dinner. But then our vice president for communications played a critical role. Our vice president for events played a critical role. Even though there was no specific event, a lot of the things that we were doing were like events. So when we were finding out what our members were doing, we were trying to treat those as an opportunity for promotion and as an event. So we were constantly monitoring social media as well. We were designing emails, those folks in particular. Even our front desk staff, suddenly we started getting calls from people that wanted to participate, needed more information. So we quickly had to train them up to be able to answer those
Mm.
calls right away. We started getting calls from other chambers, emails from other chambers, and now we had to share with them the logo and the posters so that they could copy it. We had to hire a local firm to do the logo. But there was a real intention behind the logo, and the intention was to make it open source. There's not a single color in that logo that's associated with the Saratoga County Chamber, but we wanted that way we wanted people to be able to use it wherever they happen to be. We wanted local companies to put it on water bottles or shirts or hats or whatever else they were giving away. We wanted the
Mm.
posters to be up everywhere. And so we felt doing it in a non-advertising, non-promotional way for the chamber was the best way to make that happen. So everybody here on staff on Leap of Kindness Day, all we did on February 29th, 2016 was drive to different places that were doing something kind for someone else and record that and post it on social media. Or we were doing interviews with every TV station in the Saratoga, Albany, New York market, newspapers that were covering this. So our media folks were also involved in trying to schedule and let them know where the good stories were and the good B-roll was to capture on those particular days. So it was an entire team effort, but certainly our events people and our communications folks and our front desk folks were front and center.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit more about really promoting and getting into some of the specifics of the things that you've done online with talking about promoting your cause. So one of the things I wanted to mention before we jump into your specifics is to let people know listening that um, if you don't know already, or if you're looking to promote your own cause, that Constant Contact has written a book called The Download, Making Sense of Online Marketing. And we have a version specific to nonprofits, and you can get a digital copy of that at constantcontact.com, the download slash the download. And that's going to be halfway down the page on there, as long with some other industries that we've created versions of this for as well. In the book, we talk about kind of these fundamental tools that you need to get online and really help you get the word out. We talk about a mobile friendly website. We talk about using an email marketing tool, really focusing on some primary social channels, really thinking about things like listing sites, in any of the kind of directories that can help you get the word out about things, and really having a way to easily create content and kind of update your website and doing those types of things. So maybe we could go through, Todd, and you can kind of talk us through some of your thinking in each of these different areas. So one of those is, using your website, of course. So talk me through kind of what you did here with the website, and frankly, I'm interested in what the discussion was around maybe, rather than adding a page to the website, or was there talk about creating a separate website? Kind of how did those discussions go down?
Yeah, we had those discussions, but in the sort of month-long sprint from when we kicked it off at our annual dinner to a month later, being February 29th, at some point simplicity was the ruler of the day, and the simplest way for us to constantly add content
Mm-hmm.
to the website, to our social media and emails was to use the systems we had in place. So Chambermaster, we're able to manage that internally on our website, and so we use Chambermaster and our website as the platform. Obviously, we run our own social media, and same with Constant Contact.
Yeah.
So for ease of purpose, because everybody here on staff is trained for the most part on how to use our website. So the burden of keeping the content fresh, the burden of, as you can see here, every local nonprofit that contacts us with a request, somebody's got to add what they're requesting onto the website.
Yeah.
You see there as well, here's what our members are doing to help. Somebody's got to put that on there. So this is an ever-evolving, multiple people involved, and the simplest way for us to do that was to use the software system we had at the time for the website, as opposed to trying to create a new one and try to train everybody up to work on that content-wise.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think what's interesting too, I mean, we were chatting a little bit before we started here today, is like, when you search for Leap of Kindness Day, obviously Saratoga County Foundation's website comes up first. This page is front and center, but you're starting to see all these other chambers involved in the cause as well, kind of coming up, and their sites are also ranking for this, which is really great to show that inclusiveness of what's going on and everybody getting involved. I love here what you're doing too, in terms of like really paying matchmaker with a lot of this stuff, right? Like saying what our nonprofits are requesting, here's what members are doing to help, and really giving people those ways to really kind of get involved with that, which is really great. So you've mentioned email marketing a few times, and why don't you tell us a little bit more about kind of what your plan was there, and how email marketing kind of figured into all of this and getting the word out?
So again in 2016, and we're doing the same sort of thing this time around. I think we're being a little more patient this time around because we realize we don't have to push it out as quickly as we did last time. Last time we felt like we have to get this out right away after the annual dinner. So we had pre-programmed an email, not just to our members, but to every contact we had, prospect, non-member, drop, current member, community member, somebody that had clicked through on some survey we might have done at some point in time. So everybody in our email database, the day after the annual dinner, got an email introducing them to the concept of what will you do with an extra day. And then over the course of that next month, and that's what you're going to see us doing starting later this week, as we gathered what nonprofits wanted and what our members were doing, we used email in particular to spread that out. And here's what happens with so many things with the chamber, but clearly with Leap of Kindness Day. So let's say we sent an email out and it listed the Adirondack Trust Company as purchasing flowers that they were going to distribute on Leap of Kindness Day to the residents of a local nursing home, the Wesley, which is one of the things they did in 2016. When we put that out and we emailed that out as part of our list of what companies were doing, all of a sudden every other bank said, hey, we should be doing something too. And on the nonprofit side, as we started sharing, that the Franklin Community Center or Captain Community Health Center is looking for personal care items, all of a sudden the Salvation Army and Shelters of Saratoga and all of these other organizations started reaching out. So our we found that our contacts were responding very well to seeing what other people were doing and copying or modeling what they were doing and
Mm.
doing some other things themselves. And so that was how email marketing helped us. And I said earlier, we see the same thing with our restaurant week promotion that we do for Saratoga County.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we have the first 20 restaurants that are participating, we email that out to our members. We always end up doubling the number within the next week because
Mm-hmm.
20 other restaurants see that, oh my God, my competition's doing this. I got to get in it too.
Love
So the sooner we can get specific about who's doing what or who needs what, that always generates more interest in participation for the things that we do, and in particular for Leap of Kindness Day.
it. Yeah.
And then, the other piece of this was, and you can see it here on the email that we sent out earlier this year, things we could do differently in 2020. We emailed our nonprofits way earlier
Mm-hmm.
than we ever had before, and created a survey through Constant Contact where they could report to us way earlier than in 2016 what it
Mm-hmm.
is they were looking for, what else they needed, and that's helped us to build the initial list of items that's now on our website, that's now on our social media site. So this week we're about 2 weeks ahead of where we were in 2016 because we had that advance notification through email and that response through the surveys that we were doing.
Love it. So it sounds like what you're doing is also beyond just getting the word out about the day itself or just that initiative. You're also it sounds like you're also creating different lists or different segments of customers within that main list to send specific messages to. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a separate group of folks within our nonprofit community. This time around, because Leap of Kindness Day is on a Saturday, it was a Monday in 2016. We realized Saturdays are different. So one of the things that one of the targets we're looking at for 2020 is all of our restaurants. We have tons of restaurants that are
Mm-hmm.
members. We got a couple hundred restaurant members. If you want to go for great local, independently owned dining opportunities, come to Saratoga Springs. Come to Saratoga County. We got lots of great locally owned restaurants that are unique, and so we're going to segment that database and ask them in 2020, because it's on a Saturday, to either pick a menu item
Mm-hmm.
and donate a portion of the sales of that menu item to their favorite charity, or maybe like some restaurants do with specific days, to donate a percentage of sales,
Mm-hmm.
maybe within a certain number of hours on Leap of Kindness Day, on that Saturday, to their favorite local charity. As soon as we get a couple of restaurants that tell us that they're going to do that, we're going to email that out just to the restaurants. And my guess is we will, again, double, triple, quadruple the number of restaurants that choose to do that. Because they can pick, by the way, they can pick their own charity. They can pick
Right.
whatever their cause they're most interested in and support that on Leap of Kindness Day on Saturday, February 29th. And then we're also able to, let our all of our members know what we're doing and what they could do. Hotels is another one. We're a resort community. Attract a lot of people to Saratoga County every year. We've got a local hotel in 2016 and again in 2020. They are serving breakfast to the local police and fire department. When we share that out, we expect that other hotels are going to want to do something similar for first responders in their community. And that's how we begin to build momentum. It is by using email, but targeting it as well to those different segments that perhaps have unique opportunities to do something different in terms of participation with Leap of Kindness Day.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's, one of the things we talk about all the time is how important it is to really get the right messages out to the right people and be sharing the right information with those different groups. So it's great to hear you doing that and seeing results from that. One, thank you for, being a constant contact customer, of course. It's also great to hear you using tools like Survey as well to help you out in all of this. I did want to mention too that for any chambers or any partners listening out there today, that Constant Contact, our team here is working on a Leap of Kindness Day template that we're going to be dropping into your account so you can one easily participate and get the word about your own involvement and help contribute to this cause, which is great. If for some reason you go into your account and you can't find that email template, and for some reason it's not there, you can email us at nationalorgs@constantcontact.com to request the Leap of Kindness Day template to have in there for you. So let's move to social media a bit. So great things you're doing there. Of course, the other piece of this is social, and you were speaking a little bit about that earlier. But tell me a little, walk me through like maybe what's your main goal with social? Like, how do you think about these things? And were there any things that you did either specifically or differently for the individual channels that we're using?
So it started off with the logo, but also the hashtag. So we were looking in 2016 for some way on February 29th. We had no chance with close to 2,000 members and hundreds of people, thousands of people participating. We had no chance of getting to everything. So our way of showcasing, seeing, sharing everything that was happening was to encourage everyone we could to use the hashtag Leap of Kindness Day, all one word. And so that's actually on the logo, it's on the cards, it's on our posters, it's on everything, and in all of the emails that we send out. And so it doesn't matter what social media platform you're on, we're asking people, we did then, we are now, we're asking people to use that hashtag. And then what we're doing, that's our members that are participating, our nonprofits, as well as other chambers, as well as individuals out there that may choose to decide to participate, or companies elsewhere, associations. Whoever uses it, if they could use that hashtag, that helps us. And then what we do is we start sharing that across all of our platforms. So as we see local companies that are doing a post that uses that hashtag, we're sharing it across all of our platforms, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, chambers, anybody, anywhere, we share it on ours. We have on Facebook, we did this the last time, we've done it again. We have created an event on Facebook because that's another way for us to be able to push that out and to promote what's happening all around Saratoga County as well as all around the world. We would urge other organizations, other chambers to create your own event on Facebook too. Video worked really well for us. So we had a number of, when we took photos of folks, we thought about posting on social media. So we were, again, I want to say, we thought some of that through. So I don't know that I can show this real easily, but we created these giant posters that we took around with us, and some of them, and try to flip to one, thank a coworker, tip big, and literally donate time, donate food. And we would use those posters and have people that we knew were doing something at that particular organization. They posed with the posters, and those were the photos that we took. And then if we could get them to talk for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds about what they specifically were going to do, holding up the poster with sort of their act of kindness, then we shared those videos out as well, again, across all the different platforms. And we're doing the same thing this time. We're also using the Leap of Kindness Day cards. We took some photos at our annual dinner last week with people holding those cards that we again handed out, and you'll start to see those sprinkled around our social media too. So our social media got overwhelmed the last time by the number of posts. It really was crazy. I can only imagine what it's going to look like this time.
This is so great. I love it. All right, so we got email, we've got social, we got the website. Another important area that we talk about and is maybe a little bit different for you in this instance, but another section we talk about is listings and reviews. One of those listings that we think is important because as people search for a business, Google My Business has a Google My Business listing, and it takes up some pretty prime real estate on the search pages. And as I think we were discussing before, I think it's an important thing to for all businesses to kind of claim this listing, because then you can kind of take control of it and you can add posts to it and you can update events and do those types of things. Um, I also noticed in your case where we would typically talk about like things like Yelp or other kind of review sites. We're not necessarily looking at those for you, but I did notice that Leap of Kindness Day was listed on many event sites. Did you have anybody actively submitting those to other sites, or were those just kind of picked up naturally or organically?
Yeah, that was all sort of organically,
Love it.
naturally, and certainly we've been urging other chambers to do their own Facebook events in particular,
Gotcha.
and their own Leap of Kindness Day events.
Yeah. So the other great thing that we were talking a little bit is that now that you've got all these chambers involved, it seems that tons of other chambers are now also coming up when you search for Leap of Kindness Day. Of course, you're at the top, but all of these other chambers that are participating and being part of the cause are actually their pages that they've created for the events, or I shouldn't say the events, but for the listing about the day itself is also coming up, which is really great to see. So beyond that, you talked a little bit about the content that you've been creating. One of those was video. Are you planning on doing a video again this year?
We are. We haven't unveiled it yet.
Excellent.
We're. It's funny. We're trying to. You can see here the one we did the last time involved about 40 people. It was interactive with people holding up the different placards. One came in after another and would say whatever it was that was on their placard. And over the whole course of it, you got the whole story. But it was a minute and 44 seconds. And social media changes all the time. We've got to be shorter this time.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're trying to find some more shorter. The other thing we're really looking for this time, a little different. Last time we were pushing out the content and the idea. This time we want to push out the stories.
Hmm.
Why are people choosing to spend their extra day doing whatever it is they decide to do?
Hmm.
And so we're looking at some more creative pieces that are more impactful. Actions that have a real signature to them and a real story behind them, and have that person tell that story as opposed to us doing something generic like we did the last time to push out the concept.
I love that idea. That's going to be great. I can't wait to start seeing that stuff when you guys start doing that. That sounds awesome. Um, so beyond the video, I think another interesting thing that you did, and which really helped show the enormity of people kind of getting involved with this cause, was you used Google Maps to kind of show the chambers that have already showed up. Kind of tell me where this idea came from and how this came about.
Honestly, it was Eli King, who worked at the time for Ruin Realty here in Saratoga County. Eli reached out to me at some point in 2016. She saw all these other chambers that were signing up. She was following this. She was fascinated by this whole effort. And she created the first Google map for us the last time around. And when that map got shared out, same like I mentioned earlier,
Mm,
when other chambers started seeing the map the last time around, that by far was what got people in the chamber community to look at it. They're like, hey, wait a minute, how do I get my chamber on this map?
yeah.
And so we saw our numbers. And Eli was great. Here she is. She works for a local real estate company. She was doing marketing and communications for them. This was completely just a passion of hers. I'd get an email from her at 10 o'clock at night saying, "Hey Todd, I just saw this chamber in Kansas, this chamber in Alaska signed up, or they did a post, so I'm going to add them. Is that okay?" And I mean, she was crazy doing it. This time we've taken it in. So we decided we didn't need, to rely on her to donate her time. So our communications folks are managing that. So all any chamber needs to do this time is email us at frontdesk@saratoga.org, and we are adding your chamber to this map. You can see here that last week we heard from I'm probably going to mispronounce it, the Nanog chamber in Ireland. We even got a little creative and decided to do a green line over to Ireland as opposed to the blue. All the lines come back to Saratoga, where Leap of Kindness Day was created, so that's the fun part for us. But
Yeah.
we think as this thing spreads and other chambers see it, that will multiply the number of people participating once again.
Very, very cool. I love this. It helps really just helps you visualize the amount of people that are kind of participating in chambers that are involved. So it's really cool.
Our members started asking us if we would create a local one. I don't think we're going to do that because that gets really, with all the different local organizations.
Sure, yeah.
It would look like a big splotch in downtown Saratoga Springs or Clifton Park when you put everybody in it that's going to be participating.
So, a little earlier, you kind of mentioned some things, you've mentioned the use of kind of offline materials, such as print materials and things like that you're doing to activate people. You also mentioned some things about like PR opportunities and media opportunities. Anything you wanted to kind of discuss in there or tell people about that happened from either of those?
Yeah, so we have sometime later on this week, we're sending out our Leap of Kindness Day, sort of generic media release, and that's one of those other things that we're going to put online and by email, get it out to all the participating chambers and other organizations so that they can use that as well. A simple media release. All we're waiting for literally is a photo to go with it that we're going to capture over the next day or two that has people holding up those signs once again, or the cards, or some combination of those two. The media here, whether it was print, whether it was radio, whether it was TV, as soon as they caught on to this, we were doing live broadcasts all day that day. We were providing the media with story ideas, and that way we could also shine a spotlight on our members who were doing something really cool and innovative and creative and helpful to the community. So it was a chance for us to give some great publicity to those organizations that maybe were doing more than just a simple collection of items for someone. Not that that isn't important, but somebody that was serving breakfast for the entire police department and fire department in their community. Yeah. Somebody that was, taking flowers and donating them to the 400 workers that are at Saratoga Bridges that work with disabled adults in our community. Those types of things that were special. We made sure that the media knew about them in advance to be able to cover them. And so that was the other thing that was great for our members that participated, great for the nonprofits that received some kind of act of kindness. And honestly, for the people, I think, that participated, they got they felt good that day, and especially if they saw their organization on TV or on radio or in the newspaper here locally and online, getting some credit for the great work they were doing.
Yeah, I think it's really what I kind of keep hearing through all this, which I think is really interesting and helps point to the success of all of this too, is that, you're really doing a great job of kind of sharing the spotlight and sharing the credit and, really putting the focus on what people are doing to kind of make this the thing that it is, which I think is really, really great. So before we move over to really thinking about what you've been able to accomplish and what you've been doing, I just want to recap for folks, right? Really think about using all of these tools that we've been talking about, your website, your email, social media, listings and reviews, and creating content that can really help support what it is that you're trying to do for your particular cause. And that will lead us to here, Todd, our last section here is thinking about the future. So, again, take us through. It's 2016. Leap of Kindness Day is over. You're probably exhausted. Want to take some time to decompress. Kind of what comes to your mind when you think about what happened with Leap of Kindness Day?
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out too that it doesn't need to be as elaborate as what we're doing here. And I'll give you a specific example when you talk about exhausted. Yeah. So our board, our board of directors, 27, volunteers that are in the community. This last time around, I think they each contributed anywhere from $50 to $100 to a little fund, and we used that money for them to be able to do certain group acts of kindness on that day. So we kicked off Leap of Kindness Day in 2016 with 3 members of our board and myself at 12:01 a.m. at the Urgent Care Center in Clifton Park, where we delivered a vegetable platter and a fruit platter for the overnight staff. And the next day we delivered lunch to I think it was the sheriff's department, and I can't remember what the third one was. So even a small organization with a board, you could do a bunch of acts of kindness over the course of the day. So, for us, the results the last time, we believe we had close to 100 different organizations that did something in an organized fashion, maybe more. We know there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that received some kind of act of kindness just in Saratoga County alone. I think we had 54 chambers in 31 states that participated in 2016, again, in some way, shape, or form. We saw that night, I believe we saw over 3,000 posts on social media, literally from all over the world, because Global Foundries, that company I mentioned earlier, they had some employees in India that did something in India outside at a school there, and did a post holding one of our Leap of Kindness Day logos outside of that school. So this time around, in terms of the results, we had said we did an exhibit this year, which was unique. I had never done that before. I've always gone to ACCE's conference, summer conference. We did an exhibit booth this year where we shared this idea with everyone. We're already at somewhere in the range of 100 to 150, maybe even 200 chambers that have shared with us an interest in participating. Our goal when we went to ACCE was to double the number of chambers. We're well past that. We're hoping that we get even more. And honestly, if we could get this to be sort of a recognized thing that people do on Leap Day every 4 years, so it becomes sort of a cultural phenomenon where everybody understands that, hey, that year when we have that extra day, let's make sure we use it for an act of kindness. That for us would be the ultimate vision and ultimate goal, that it gets recognized on that kind of level and as something you just do when it's February 29th every 4 years.
I love it. I love it. What would you say was your biggest learning through this whole process?
You know what? I think it's how creative people can be. So, that's why I think, we're a month out. We're roughly almost 30 days out from it, which is plenty of time for people to think about what they might want to do. So one of my favorite examples from the last time is there was a nursing home in Ballston Spa. And when we asked them what specifically would they like people to donate, they were looking for slip-resistant socks. I would have never thought of that as something they needed. The Ballston Spa Business and Professional Association then did a community drive to collect those socks, and then they delivered the socks to the residents on Leap of Kindness Day. This year, Habitat for Humanity locally, they're asking for people to donate a 2x4x6 or a 2x4x8 and to sign it. And they're going to collect those on February 29th, and they're going to use them in their building projects throughout the course of 2020. So that type of creativity is something I wouldn't have anticipated when we first put Leap of Kindness Day together. I think most of us thought about, donating time, donating money, donating clothes, donating food, but donating socks, donating 2x4x6s just wasn't necessarily something we anticipated.
Very cool. It's interesting when you start to tap into that creativity of others and what people come up with. And yeah, like you said, it's like, oh yeah, what a great idea that I never would have thought of. Right.
And just the types of people that people decided to thank, because that is a big part of saying thank you to somebody. So we had crossing guards who, do important work every day to protect our kids crossing the street going to schools. Some of them got special gifts that day. Bus drivers, direct care workers I mentioned at Saratoga Bridges, that do amazing work with disabled adults. They don't, they don't get thanked every day. Um, so those types of things too. People were incredibly compassionate in the types of people they chose to thank on Leap. It wasn't just about buying a coffee for the next person in line. It was something way more meaningful to them.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, Todd, I'm going to do my best here. We've had a great conversation. We talked a lot of things. I'm going to do my best here to kind of recap a little bit of what we kind of talked about, see what I kind of gleaned from our conversation here today. So we talked about kind of three areas of focus. We talked about defining your cause, we talked about promoting your cause, and we talked about thinking about the future. That when it comes to really defining your cause, the thing that kind of stood out to me that kind of makes this whole thing work is really keeping that mission simple, and really keeping it simple so people can kind of rally behind the idea. In terms of promoting the cause, one of the things that stuck out to me was really tapping into all of those connections that you have, and really giving them the tools that they can use to get the word out and help you spread that cause. And then lastly, thinking about the future, one of the things that stuck out to me there was really this idea of really making it easy for people to get involved. It doesn't have to be some elaborate thing. And then also just tap into their creativity, and allow them to kind of push the movement or the cause forward, which is really kind of a great idea there. So, Todd, a question for you. What's one thing that, I guess on two levels, what's one thing that you would say to someone who is trying to get the word out about their cause? What piece of advice would you offer to them?
So I think, again, it's using every platform, every connection that you have at your disposal. I think I can safely say for Leap of Kindness Day, the last time around, we used every possible communication vehicle we had to share what our idea, the cause, and then what our members were doing, and the actions they were taking, and that helped inspire more folks. So that to me is use every possible avenue you have to communicate with people, because you never know these days what people respond to. There's so many different opportunities to get the word out about your cause. And something like this, everybody wins with Leap
Yeah.
of Kindness Day. This is a win-win-win-win everywhere around. So there's no controversy associated with doing this that I can imagine anywhere. So
Yeah.
share it. Let the world know what you're doing locally. Be proud of it. Don't be afraid to toot your own horn. Or in our case, as we've done so often with this, it's sharing what other people have done, and thanking them as well for what they're doing in terms of participation.
Love it. Todd, I want to thank you so much for your time today. If people want to learn more about Leap of Kindness Day, how can people find out more?
So definitely go right to our website, saratoga.org. You need to click through to the Saratoga County Foundation. As you mentioned, I believe you can just Google Leap of Kindness Day. Our
Hmm.
site's going to come up on our foundation page. You can also email our front desk at frontdesk@saratoga.org. You can call us at 518-584-3255. You can go on Facebook and write a comment on our event page if you want. Message us on any of the different platforms from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you want to get on the map, let us know that as well if you're a chamber. But we're willing to, I think you can also steal a lot of the stuff from our website and our social media, from the logo to the posters to the cards. And as long as you use it for kindness, we're happy to have you do that.
Excellent. That's amazing. Todd, I wish you the most success that you can possibly have. It's great to see you going global. We hope that reaches to many, many more parts of the world as Leap of Kindness continues to grow. Leap of Kindness Day continues to grow. For those of you listening, if you do want to learn more about Constant Contact, feel free to visit constantcontact.com, where we can help you with all of your online marketing needs all in one place. And if you would like to hear when we're doing other interviews like this, or get some of our best marketing advice, you can sign up for our twice monthly newsletter, Hints and Tips. Just text the word CC Hints, all one word, to 22828, and that'll give you a little prompt. You can enter your email address and get onto the list. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye now.